A buddy of mine went home with a woman he met at the bar. In her car, she tuned the radio between the stations and said, "Listen."
Coming down his face. Oh, that's a big load.
Receiver coach has been blown away by Crabtree's hands and his ability to suck in these balls.
Josh Bynes has been coming all night long, but then he pulls out, and it's just hard. It's been a while since he's seen a hole that big. He almost didn't know what to do.
Rivers on first and goal, touchdown. Tyrell Williams. He beats Cox.
Hello, Steve.
Hello, Jim.
And hello, all of our loyal listeners. If you found us somehow on YouTube, appreciate it.
And we are Inappropriate with Jim and Steve, back for another week.
Thanks.
It's a very special week.
It is a special week. We ended the NFL season. It's a bittersweet.
Yes.
And now
yes.
we can all, I feel like I gain a Sunday back to doing something. Regular life happens. And it's also Valentine's Day.
It is Valentine's Day today.
If you are listening to this episode the day it's released, which, why are you not? If you're not listening to this every Wednesday
at 6 a.m.,
just as you pull up your pants to go to work, you should be thinking, Jim and Steve.
I know. That's usually what I think when I wake up.
Before we get into anything, I know this wasn't part of our pre-show meeting, Steve.
I know where it's going, so I gotcha.
2 minutes in, we're going off the rails. I was in another movie. Today, if you were listening on Wednesday, the movie just put out a new Instagram page. The movie is called High Odyssey. Go find it on Instagram, and I will actually put a link in the description of this podcast. Go follow the movie page, and today they're uploading the opening scene that I was in.
With yours truly, not me truly, but
I hope everyone loves it. And speaking of love, Steve,
speaking of love,
today is Valentine's Day.
It is Valentine's Day. And, nothing could start love off with, I went to a wedding this weekend.
That is the epitome of love.
It is people showing their true love.
Now, did they get married because it was this, not get married, but did they get married specifically this weekend because of how close in proximity it is to Valentine's Day, or this was what the venue had?
I think probably this is what the venue had. And guess what? I went to a listener's wedding.
Oh, and from what I understand, I don't know anything about this wedding other than I know it was a destination wedding.
Yes, it was right outside Pittsburgh, Monroeville, which is...
Never heard.
Yes. Well, shout out to Stephanie on her wedding. Stephanie and Josh.
Many more.
Who's also my cousin, but also a listener. So I didn't know whether or not to do it. Speaking of love, they love zombies.
Oh,
there was a mall across the street from where the hotel was. They love zombies.
I don't think I can let you off the hook on that. Like, what do you mean?
So, there was a zombie museum inside of the mall.
Okay.
They had people who...
Like a haunted house?
No, not like... It was just like a dedication. Like you go in it.
The history of zombies?
Yeah. But I do have a story about something that happened at the wedding.
Oh, okay. Do they live there?
They live like an hour and a half away from there. So I think it was like a convenient place for...
Oh, they have a lot of people out of state?
The people,
okay.
The parties that were coming there.
So those weddings get a little more, sometimes a bit more interesting because you have all these out-of-state people.
Yeah, yes.
So most people are going to the hotel. Like nobody's driving home typically on those type weddings.
Yes. So
can get a little more dicey.
Yeah, so we got up there like the day before.
Now, were you kid-free?
Yes, kid-free.
Oh, you little rascal.
So that was awesome.
The curtains were dripping when you guys left.
No.
All right, get into this.
But the weirdest thing about this hotel was, there's a lot of weird things about the hotel, but the weirdest thing about it...
Was it an all-in-one? Hotel, reception, wedding?
Everything was there. Everything was there. The hotel bar, which hotel bars are kind of weird anyway, I feel like.
They're hit and miss.
Yes. There was no refrigerator in the hotel rooms.
Okay.
So the bartender, people with us got food, and she was like, "Oh, do you want me to box this up?" And we were like, "We're staying in a hotel. There's no refrigerators in any of the rooms." And she said, "Oh, well, you can get a cooler at the front desk and then keep it there." And we're like, "Well, there's no microwave to heat your food back up after you got it." She's like, "Well, there's a communal microwave." And I could only imagine like people in a fucking line sitting there waiting to try to use the microwave. The next day, I was like, you know what? We went and got beers and some wine and stuff and wanted to keep it cold. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to get one of these fucking coolers. So I go up to the receptionist and I say, "Hey, I just want to get a cooler for my room since there's no refrigerator." And she looked at me like I had fucking 3 heads. And I was like, she's like, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "A cooler." And I was like, "The bartender last night told me that since there's no refrigerators, we can get a cooler here." And she's like, "Oh, okay, no problem. We'll send one up to your room." And the cooler just doesn't, it's not showing up. It's not showing up. I call back down and say, "Hey, I still don't have this.
What the fuck's my cooler, bitch?
Where's my Yeti?" And she says, "Oh, I'm sorry. The person that has it's out. I'll be back." Well, the person that
Have one cooler?
yeah, the person that would bring it up is off today, so we had to get someone else to do it. So I was like, all right. So I hang up the phone. 2 minutes later, the vanity light over top of the sink burns out. I go over and call back down to the front desk and say, "Hey, not only with that damn cooler, the vanity light just burnt out over top, and my wife's getting ready for this wedding. So can you send somebody
I need a light bulb."
I know, I need a light bulb. So she had to be like, "Which vanity light is it?" And so she knew
the one burnt out.
So she needs to know what fucking light bulb to bring up. And I was like, all right. So then she hangs up, and then I start steaming my shirt to just get ready for the wedding. So I hang up the phone, go over, start the steamer, and I set the shirt on the thermostat. All right, because there's no fucking hooks or anything, and my wife's taking the whole bathroom area, so I have nowhere to kind of do it. So I was like, "This is perfect. I'll just hang it there." So I start steaming it. Steam rises up and sets off the fucking fire alarm,
which sets off all the rooms then, right?
Yes. So it starts the fire alarm starts going off, and this shit's not stopping. So I go back over to the phone, call back down to the desk, and say, "Hi, I fucking just set the fire alarm off." And she's like, "What the hell is going on in that room?" And I was just like, "I don't know. I really want this fucking cooler." And so I just decided to hurry everything up. This fire alarm is just like fucking blaring, and it's it's a hotel.
I've been part of one of these,
and I don't want to open up the door because I'm embarrassed, because I don't want everybody to think they're all starting to evacuate or whatever, and it's fucking.
Well, they're not gonna be able to tell it's yours.
Yes, but at the time, I don't think that I don't recall that. I don't remember that everyone else's fire alarms are gonna go off, and this thing's not fucking stopping. So then there's a knock at the door. And I'm like, "Oh, here's the fucking the people that shut this fucking fire alarm off." I open up the door, and it's a guy holding a refrigerator. And I was just like, "Oh, thanks." And he brings in the refrigerator. I was like, "Can you stop this alarm?" He's like, "I don't do that."
That guy's off today.
So it's just like fucking blaring and going off all fucking crazy. And I go into the panic mode, like I'm setting it off and I don't know what to do. She's like, "You might as well just keep fucking steaming your shirt because you're not going to cause any more damage." But then the fire alarm goes off. I felt like I needed to go apologize to the receptionist because I was like being a dick. Yeah. I don't know. It's fucking ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous. But yeah,
I'm glad it was filled with love.
It was filled with a lot of love.
So apparently Steve has to travel out of state, get his wife alone, set off the fire alarm to get her all hot and bothered to go get some. Which brings me to my...
That's a good transition.
Brings me to my little segment.
Is it about Valentine's Day?
Indirectly about Valentine's Day.
Do you know anything about Valentine's Day?
Not enough, Steve. Other than, here's what I know about Valentine's Day.
Yes.
And then you could tell me how wrong I am. Valentine's Day is a day where, as it's approaching, it's always on a weekday. If you have
It's
kids,
always on a fucking
if you have kids, you know that 90% of the time you're rushing the kids somewhere. Like there's no romance about Valentine's Day. But then you go, well, in my case, I asked my wife, would you like anything? What do I get you? I mean, we've been together for 20 some years. So like Valentine's Day gets, lost in the shuffle. I don't want anything. So so you still got to go get the card.
Yeah.
And I do not know what to get my wife. And she says, I don't want anything. So that's what Valentine's Day means to me.
Yeah, yeah.
You just have to go get something.
Well, it wasn't always that way
Oh.
to everybody. Saint Valentine was a saint that
You don't say.
yeah, and then he was decapitated.
Oh.
And apparently he could heal people that were blind.
Okay.
And
I'm trying to make the connection.
And he somehow became the saint of lovers. That's about all you'll fucking find. So it makes zero sense how Valentine's Day became it today.
Yeah.
Versus a saint that could heal. And he's also the patron saint of epilepsy. I couldn't draw the correlation between it.
No.
And so it sticks to that it's a commercial holiday.
Yes. So, gentlemen, it is too late for us to warn you.
Yeah, if you're listening to this now.
If you're listening to this now, unless you were on your way to work and you didn't see, your girlfriend or wife.
Do you
or
have
both.
to do it in the morning, or is it like if you get flowers, is it acceptable to pick up flowers on the way home?
I think so. I guess it just Valentine's Day just falls down the ranking with there's nothing for Valentine's Day.
No.
Once you're like married for so many years and you have kids and shit's going on. Now, if you're early 20s, teens even, and you're dating someone, sure, big thing.
Yeah.
Right? And especially if it's a new relationship and you are like bending over backwards or like do other things in
Yes.
order to get laid.
That's always the ultimate goal.
Which basically is for, I don't know. And it's like, how far do you go out of your way? Like, what do you do in order to accomplish that?
Yes.
As we were creating this Valentine's Day / love episode, we know our audience.
Yes.
Okay, they don't want to hear a bunch of mushy shit.
Yes.
But it is Valentine's Day. So, I think it's in the vein of what would you do for love? Here is a scenario that was proposed on Reddit. I found some of the best responses, and I want to share these with you.
Awesome.
And the question was, how far have you seen a guy go along with something just to get laid? Here is the best responses that I found. A friend of a friend would go to insane clown posse gatherings solely to bang juggalo girls. He otherwise hated the whole subculture.
That's a good move, I think.
I mean, I've seen juggalos. Mm-hmm. Or they call juggalettes.
I don't know.
Yeah, juggalo girls. And they just look like dirty festival girls with white and black makeup on their face. Yeah. That's pretty much it, right?
Yeah, I went to a Insane Clown Posse concert.
Did you?
Yeah. I wanted to, because they throw soda.
I know that they do have a stick, right? Like they have a thing.
They throw this soda called Fuego. I might be saying it wrong.
Yeah.
Fuego, I think it's called Fuego. And yeah, it was one of those things like spur of the moment. E-Rock and he used to be my Valentine all the time. We went to the show and then tried to look up just to see like what it's like. And we got in the crowd and I was like, let's try to get sprayed with soda. I don't know how they're gonna do it with 2 liters, just spraying it. I got hit in the face on the first song, It burned my fucking eyes so bad. And it was just a nonstop spray of fucking soda on you to where like I had to go into the back. I was like, I can't handle it.
The whole place just sticky soda.
It's just sticky, and there's makeup everywhere. There's clowns. It's just.
See, I when Insane Clown Posse came out, I didn't pay them no mind, and then I think they had a semi-hit, or like they had a song that was semi-popular.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you
what it was, but I just remember they kind of popped up on the radar, and that was the time when I was big into Eminem. And Eminem and Insane Clown Posse had a feud because they were both from Detroit.
Yeah.
And because I liked Eminem, I was like, fucking Insane Clown Posse.
Fucking clowns.
Probably a good move.
Yeah.
Because
I think you got on the right side of that.
All right, next up. Back in the day, I was absolutely crazy about this guy who I knew did not feel the same way about me. We were at a party together and he tried to make a move and I firmly said no for 4 hours. He spent an entire week convincing me that I was wrong and that he always loved me and had been too scared to act on it. I got 24/7 texts and phone calls about how we were finally going to be together, just enough that I finally believed him. We hooked up and he couldn't even look at me in the eye the next morning.
That's a lot of work. You know what that story shows me? That persistence, no matter how creepy it is to send a girl text messages, there's a point where it's gonna work.
A guy started talking to a girl with a fake bad British accent because
Was it you?
Cheerio. A guy started talking to a girl with a bad fake British accent because he was kind of drunk and thought it would be funny. The girl was kind of into it. He maintained the fake British accent the entire night and into the next morning.
I mean,
that's commitment.
Yeah. Commit to the bit.
A friend of mine I went to school with, and in parentheses, an incorrigible poon hound who also liked to party, joined the Mormon church to bang a chick. I remember coming through town once and he declined an invitation to hang because he had a church event. And I was like, what the fuck is he doing at church? 6 months later, I caught up with him and he laid it all out for me. He had bagged the lady and moved on. And I laughed my ass off because it was so on brand with him. He would just jump through hoops and join the Mormon religion as a Mexican man.
It shows that guys will fucking do anything.
Yeah. Well,
they would turn on a dime to just, if they had an opportunity.
A lot of these stories, and I had to filter a lot of them out, a lot of them had to do with people joining a religion.
Really?
They like converted to whatever religion the girl that he was interested in was. One summer in 2019, I think it was, I went along with a blue-haired girl's insane bipolar outburst for about 3 weeks because in between those outbursts, she was like a wild animal in bed and was always good for at least 4 to 5 rounds at a time. The mental illness quickly became more than I really wanted to deal with, so I broke it off with her for the sake of my own mental health. Zero regrets, though. My best friend and I still refer to her as Ketamine Becca. I got a couple more. I know a guy that was married, divorced her, and vowed to fuck her sisters for revenge. She had 2 sisters. One put out without too much effort. He had to marry the next one to do it, but he did. Divorced her too.
That is fucking wild.
That is full commitment to the bit.
Yes. To think, because it guaranteed the sister said something to him.
Oh, I'm sure.
About what was going to happen. And
you would think, but by the time he got to the 3rd sister and he married her, the other 2 were like, what are you doing? Like, well, the first one was like, we've already dated, broke up. And the second was like, yeah, we banged too. And the third was like, well, I'm going to fucking marry him.
Do you think they were bridesmaids in his wedding?
I was just thinking that. Were they even invited to the wedding? Did they show up to the wedding?
I know, because you would invite that'd be like the first people on your list.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Well, the first sister, your other 2 sisters are awful fucking people.
All right, last 2. A buddy of mine went home with a woman he met at the bar. In her car, she tuned the radio between the stations and said, "Listen, can you hear them?" They're wishing evil on me. My buddy. Well, that's some wild shit. Some bad people out there. Still banged her.
He was probably hoping it was going to be like Ketamine Becca.
Right.
That it was going to be some crazy stuff going on.
And might be the wildest one of them all. I knew a guy who for some reason thought it was the biggest flex that he could drink a cap full of bleach in front of everyone and not die. He was really trying to impress this girl at a party. So he did it. And when he did it, she was distracted, so she didn't actually see him do it. So he did it again. She missed that time as well. He did it a third time, swearing something about a certain amount was fine to drink. He ended up in a hospital that night. A few months later, he was back at it with a different girl. The old bleach drinking trick works every time.
That's fucking insane. I think I would have to draw the line there.
I assume most of these guys have to be young. Like, you can't be in your 40s still doing weird shit to get laid. But, like, when you're younger, every time could be the last time. It's that kind of mindset. So, like, I think you're just willing to do just insane shit.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, like, you just be by yourself.
Yeah.
So, and you have that extra young, single fucking energy.
Yes, you're willing to do...
Like, drive 6 hours or something.
Yeah, I think... God, I think I might be on... I think I should write something on this list.
Uh-oh.
I one time was dating this girl, or just like in the beginning of dating this girl. Okay. And I don't think we dated very long. Probably because I did something. But we were at a party together, and they bring... It might have been a Valentine's Day party, I think. But during the party, another friend comes in and he says, "Look what I found." And he's dragging down the steps a little person. He's
like their little feet can't keep up.
Yeah. So he was pulling them down the steps of this house by his fucking leg, and you're like, where'd you find it? Like, you're like
it's like a leprechaun.
Well, yeah,
like
yeah.
He
was just leprechaun. He was just walking down the street, and I invited him to come over to the party, and it's all that. So he invites this little person into the party, and the little person turns out to be kind of a dick.
Well, no shit. Like, even if he wasn't, or she, was it he?
It was a he.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even if he wasn't, I think I'd be bitter as motherfucker.
We nicknamed him Minty Midget. But he was at this party, and he started drinking, and he was getting belligerent and all this, and he was just like out of control. So they're like, we need to get this fucking little person out of here. He can't fucking stay here anymore. So the girl I was dating was like, you know what? I think you should take him home. And I was like, I don't want to take this fucking guy home.
I don't know who this guy is.
So I say, Minty, where do you live? And he says, I live, and he's drunk, and he's like, I live in Edgemere. And I was like, Edgemere? And he's just like, yeah, which is about 25 minutes from where I am. And I was just like, I don't want to drive this guy. And she's like, I think it'll be really nice if you did. And she was just like, I'll go with you. We'll drop him off, and then we'll figure out what we want to do next. We'll come back. We can come back here, or we can go. And I was like, all right, fucking take this. Because when you hear like what could happen next, your mind starts going crazy.
Right, like, hey, once you do this good deed, we'll be alone, and who knows what can happen.
So I'm like, all right, I'll drive this fucking guy back. So get him in my car, throw him in the back. We drive, and he's just yelling and screaming. And
God, you know what I'm picturing right now? God, And it totally unrelated. But that hangover scene where they're in the desert and they open the trunk and Chow pops out and he's all wild like a monkey.
Motherfuckers.
I feel like that
Yes,
he's like a little chimpanzee in the back of the fucking
yes. You let a chimpanzee in the back of your fucking car.
drunken chimpanzee.
A drunken chimpanzee, and he is just off the walls, getting mad, getting there. He's like doing the dry heave like he might throw up in my car.
Flicking you off with his little sausage fingers.
Yes. So we drive. I drive the fucking Edgemere, and I'm like, "Where do you live? What street do you live in?" And he's like, "None of this looks familiar." And I was just like, "What?" And I was just like, "Well, here's like a gas station, like a Wawa." I was like, "Let me pull in here." I was like, "Where do you live?" He's like, Edgewood. And I was like, Edgewood? Which is...
That's an hour of the opposite direction.
Yeah, it's an hour the other way now. And I was just like, I can't... Oh my... I was like, what the fuck? And then I like look at the girl I was dating, and I was just like, what the... I was like, I can't... I'm not driving
You
this
did the
fucking
good
guy.
deed versus getting laid mad.
Yeah,
It was like, fuck it.
Yeah, I know. So I say, I pull out. I was like, fine, fucking Minty, I'll drive you to fucking Edgewood. I said, can you do me a favor first? Can you go in the store and get me a bag of Skittles? And he's just like, I don't have any money. I was like, here's the money. Go get me a bag of Skittles. So I gave him like $5, and then he gets fucking. Jumps out of my car. Fucking people are staring at it. Look at the fucking circus thing. He goes into the Wawa, and I fucking leave. I am not driving fucking an hour.
By then you drive an hour north. That's all. That's another hour.
Yeah.
And then assuming you can get them home, right?
Yes.
And then from Edgewood to roughly your house is about 35 minutes.
Yeah.
So you're at least an hour and a half. By then, who knows the mood?
Yes, exactly. Because you've been in the car for fucking 2 hours,
right?
And it's late, and everybody's getting fucking tired.
And it's a 95, it's a straight drive. You start getting tired.
Yep.
You really didn't do anything wrong. You took somebody and you drove them home.
Yeah.
Only for them to be like, "Oh no, my bad." Home is like an hour away.
Yes.
After you drove them a half hour.
Yes.
And I'd be like, you know what, drunk or not, here's $5. Get the fuck out.
I know.
Well, I don't want to hold anybody up from their Thanksgiving Day plans or Thanksgiving Day.
Jeez. That's how much you care.
Thanksgiving Day dinner sounds really good right now.
Thanksgiving Times Day. So you probably need to go out and get some flowers and a fucking card and a box of chocolates right
Hopefully
now.
when you pull up to a stoplight, one of those Spanish people will be out selling, half dozen roses.
Yeah. Or if you drive to Edgemere, you may be able to find a minty little person
rolling around with $5.
He's got $5 from 20 years ago.
Okay, well, that was fun.
Yeah.
And, thanks everybody for hanging out with us on this special Valentine's Day.
Yep, the Valentine's Day edition of Inappropriate with Jim and Steve.
I gotta say, that YouTube algorithm is the weirdest thing, Steve.
Mm-hmm.
We don't do much on YouTube, and I touch on it every now and again, but we obviously do have a channel, and our episodes get uploaded,
yes.
Just automatically. And our ebesodes on YouTube will either get 2,000 views in like a day or 5. There's no in between.
There's no rhyme or reason
for
with
YouTube.
Yes.
It is. I mean, the other analytics are pretty consistent. Where we know we put something out, we know whatever it's going to.
Yes.
YouTube, man, I have no idea. So if you listen on YouTube, I appreciate it. Hopefully you hang out with us next week. Thanks for listening to Inappropriate. Check our description, follow us, share all that fun stuff, and hang out with us again next week. I'm Jim.
I'm Steve. Bye.
Watch me as I take off. I'll I'll be working until I have all of my days off. Then I'm surfing in California when I'm paid off. I'll be blurring my vision, sipping on that bass sauce. La da da, watch out, I'm coming, yeah. I know, I'm a hustler, I go. Got me running, got me gunning for thrones. I won't go back, no pass, blow past so fast. I'm gone, grow fast, big splash, all cash. Like watch me as I take off. I'll be working until I have all of my days off. Then I'm surfing in California.